Hello everyone, Trisha Hershberger here, and now that I have spent about 1 week with the PlayStation 5, I thought I should share my thoughts on this brand new next-gen console with you. And I put a little feeler out on social media and out in Discord to see if you had any questions about it, and I will do my best to answer those in this video. Thank you so much to PlayStation for sending this device to me. PlayStation asks that you use #sponsored because technically you were given the device. However, full disclosure, I was not asked to make this video. I'm doing this just because I'd like to. So let's talk about the PS5. As you can see, this right now is next to my standard size PC tower. The PS5 is pretty big. It's about 390 by 104 by 260 millimeters, or if you prefer inches, about 15.5 by 10.25 by 4-ish inches. Now, this is the version with the optical drive that you can see here. And let me just pick this up so I can show you everything up close and personal. Some people have asked online whether it is white or light gray, and I would say both as the proper answer to that. So it is a white that has a grayish undertone. So some people might see that as a very, very, very light gray. Other people might see it as a shade of white. So up to you, whatever you want to call it, but it does definitely have a grayish undertone, and the controller, which we'll talk about in a little bit, matches. So yeah, the PlayStation 5 is definitely a big boy. My arms are getting tired here holding it. But funny enough, it has the same cubic measurement as the Series X. So technically, volume-wise, these are the same size, just in very different shapes, so they will fit different entertainment living room consoles a little bit differently. So make sure that you have ample space for that. Let's take a look at this up close and personal. So as I mentioned, I did get the PlayStation 5 that has the optical drive for physical media. Also on the front here, you see a USB Type A, a USB 2.0, and a USB Type C that is a super speed USB, and it's technically, if you want to get specific, a USB 3.2 Gen 1x2 for people that are USB nerds like me. So that is a super speed USB-C that's there on the front. And that's it on the front, besides we have a little eject button here for our optical drive and the power button here in front. And when I plug it in a little bit, I will show you how it lights up, because the ambient light is really beautiful when you press that power. And then over here, little PlayStation logo. And now let's look at the ports on the back, because we have a lot more ports on the back. The ports on the back include 2 USB Type A ports. Now these 2 USB Type A are super speed, so USB 3.2 Gen 2x1. You have an Ethernet port there, an HDMI 2.1, and then a power adapter that is a 350 watt power socket. If you get the digital only version of the PlayStation 5, that will be a 340 watt power socket on the back. Just a little fun fact for those that care. Also to note, the PlayStation 5 has Bluetooth 5.1 and 802.11ac Wi-Fi as well. I'm gonna set this right here. Now you'll notice I'm setting it down without the base, which you are not technically supposed to do. So part of the setup, and the first thing you should do, what's recommended in the manual, etc., is take this base that comes with it. Now this is a very funny looking base, but it is made so that you can mount your PlayStation vertically, as I have it here, or horizontally. Now, because of my gaming setup, I've actually had to use the PlayStation 5 horizontally, and so I will show you how to attach the base for that. If you're going to attach the base for the vertical setup, there is one screw required just down here. But let's go ahead and place it just here on my lap. Now, something I want to show you on the back that you probably couldn't see is you'll see the beautiful little PlayStation shapes there on the side. And that's exactly where you want to attach your base if you're going to be putting your PlayStation 5 in the horizontal position. Put it right there around those letters, and it just kind of clips right on. Then when you have it mounted, you can see it sits on this base, and it will make it sit level in your setup, which is awesome. So after that, setup was really easy. You just plug in the power adapter, plug in the HDMI to your display, and then follow the on-screen prompts. Fun fact, PS5 has a voice dictation feature in its accessibility settings that supports multiple languages. You can use that instead of having to use your controller to enter in all of your username, password, and any other details that you might find during setup, if that's easier for you. Once you sign in with your PlayStation account, it will bring over your profile, your trophies, your game history, etc. And then you have the option to transfer games from your PS4 to your PS5. You can either do that wirelessly over a shared network, or you can do that if both consoles are hardwired into your system and into your network. Now, if you don't have the ability to hardwire in both of your consoles to your network and you want to do it wirelessly, but you want to go a little bit faster, here's a little bit of a trick. Connect both the PS4 and the PS5 to the same shared network, and then use one LAN cable to connect the PS4 to the PS5, and that does speed up the process tremendously. So that's just kind of a little hack that I found out through my setup process that I hope helps you. Now, a lot of us have been wowed in hearing about the PlayStation 5 with the amazing specs that are inside this thing. I will throw those up on the screen for you to check out, but basically you've got a custom AMD CPU and GPU and super fast SSD tech. But as always, when it comes to tech stuff, specs really mean nothing unless they translate to user experience. So what are some of the new features that make use of this next-gen technology that we just mentioned? Well, the first thing I noticed was a new and sorely needed, although still familiar, user interface. It still looks very much like the PlayStation long horizontal row of tiles. However, now the PS Store is incorporated and there's more party-focused features like screen sharing, challenges amongst friends, and GameBase, which is a dedicated hangout space. They also have a system-level feature, if devs choose to use it, called Game Help, where you can get hints or even walkthrough videos directly from the dev if you get stuck. This, I think, is kind of cool because sometimes if you are a person who likes to look up walkthroughs or hints if you get stuck in a game, you might get more information than you bargained for. And who better to help nudge you along than the devs who created the game? I haven't used it yet because I try to game without walkthroughs or hints as much as possible, but I imagine that the dev would be the best person to kind of nudge you along without any spoilers since they designed the game. Another new feature on the PlayStation 5 is Game Boost, and this gives select PS4 and PSVR titles access to the tech boost of the PS5 for faster frame rates and more consistent resolution. Of course, this has an ultra high speed SSD that a lot of us have been hearing about in the marketing, and what this really translates to is near instant load time, which it's so funny to me to think that the next generation of gamer isn't gonna know what loading screen tips are. That's wild. This also has a custom I/O system, which paired with that SSD is a really great feature for game devs to be able to develop games more efficiently on the new console. Always looking out for the game devs, that's very cool. Now, the custom GPU from AMD that's in the PlayStation 5 allows for real-time ray tracing. And ray tracing is the way that rays of light are individually simulated for more realistic shadows and reflections. And of course, this will only be made use of in certain game titles that are supported and have ray tracing enabled. Another big selling point that we've heard from marketing with the PlayStation 5 is 4K 120 frames per second, which sounds awesome. But make note, you do need a capable display, which means you need HDMI 2.1 technology and a display that's capable of 4K 120 frames per second. So that's a little tricky to find right now. I feel like the PlayStation 5 and next-gen console gaming in general is kind of future-proofed in that way, and hopefully the rest of our systems will catch up to what these are capable of soon enough. It also has HDR tech for more vibrant and lifelike colors, again with a capable display. And PlayStation made a big push to focus on 3D audio via their Tempest engine. And that's supposed to create more accurate sounds coming from every direction, hence 3D, which is not only more immersive, but can give you more situational awareness in the game, which can mean life or death. So huzzah for 3D audio and the new Tempest engine. All right, now to answer some of your questions. So one of the first questions I got was asking me about coil whine, aka a buzzing sound coming from the console that some users have reported now that this is starting to be out in the wild and being reviewed by people. I will tell you, I have not heard any kind of low buzzing or humming at all. A lot of people don't know if it is a coil whine like some people experienced on the PlayStation 4 Pro, or if it has something to do with the optical drive. Mine hasn't done it at all, so I can't really speak to what other people are experiencing, but I can tell you from my perspective, not a problem so far. Knock on would. I had other people asking me about thermals and cooling in the PlayStation 5. And what I will tell you is it does not feel too hot when it's on its side. Like I mentioned, I've been playing with it in the horizontal position. There's definitely more heat coming out of the bottom side of the console. So like this part where the optical drive is, for sure, which totally makes sense because the heat sink is located on the bottom of the circuit board. Sony recommends, of course, that you keep it well ventilated. They've recommended at least 4 inches or 10 centimeters to either side, which with an already very hefty console means you need a pretty big space if you're putting it in some kind of shelving unit or something like that. So keep that in mind. And between the sizable heatsink and the liquid metal cooling system that's in this, Sony says we should be fine. So again, no issues from me yet. I've had it about a week and I have been gaming on it pretty heavily, I would say. Hey everybody, so quick update on that no issues thing. I have now experienced one PS5 freeze. I was playing Spider-Man Remastered for the PS5 and it just froze out of nowhere. What happened? Hey, PS5, why did you freeze? Oh no, that was so sad. I tried hitting the center button on the DualSense Controller and it didn't take me back to the PlayStation UI or anything, and I had no option but to hard reset the unit by holding in the power button for more than 10 seconds. It's not a physical game bug, it's I downloaded it digitally, so there's nothing in the optical drive right now. Okay, so here's what I'm getting now, just so you guys can see it. Your PS5 wasn't turned off properly. Before unplugging the AC power cord, select power, turn off PS5. If you unplug the AC power cord when the power indicator on your PS5 is lit or blinking, data loss, corruption, or damage might occur. Now, I did not unplug it. I held in the power button for about 10 to 15 seconds. Now, I reached out on Twitter to see if anyone else experienced that issue, and it seems like a lot of people have been experiencing issues with the PS5. So know that before you buy. Anytime there's a first batch of next-gen hardware, this kind of thing is kind of bound to happen. Beardtastic Yogi says had a couple crashes with the remake, but hard resets though, so that seemed to work. Sal Crivelli says my PS4 Miles Morales has at least one game-stopping glitch per day. So a lot of people aren't really sure if it has to do with Insomniac Spider-Man and Miles Morales or if it has to do with the PS5 hardware. A couple people are saying had a same hard lock in Spider Miles this week. And then I did see some people as well. Joe Dog says my friend had this happen on his Series X, haven't encountered it on the Series S though. And I also had someone else say that this happened to them on PS5 during Demon Souls. So keep in mind, this stuff is all new that's getting out there. So I just wanted to give a little asterisk caveat to my, I've been playing it for a week with no issues. I have now been playing it for approximately a week and a half and have had one issue. So I hope that that is not the norm for other people who are getting hands-on. Okay, back to the rest of the review. Moving on. Let's talk compatibility. So speaking of games of yesteryear, and specifically PS4 games, the PS5 gives publishers the ability to let players upgrade both their disc and digital copies of PS4 games to digital PS5 games. PlayStation also said 99% of PS4 games are backwards compatible on day one. Again, a huge huzzah and woot woot for backwards compatibility. I love to see that. I feel like that benefits all gamers. Let's talk about the PSVR. Is the PSVR compatible? It is compatible on the PS5. However, it requires a PlayStation camera, which we'll talk about in just a moment, and a PS camera adapter. Now, the PS Move controllers and PSVR aim controller will work with this as well. Huge win for people that love their PSVR. You do not need to upgrade to a PS5 VR. Huzzah! All right, so those are things that are compatible with the PS5. Let's talk about things that are kinda compatible with the PS5. Some specialty PS4 peripherals like arcade sticks, racing wheels, etc. will work with PlayStation 5, but not all of them. So there's that little asterisk disclaimer there. Some will work, not all of them will. The DualShock 4 wireless controller and third-party gamepad controllers will work with PS4 games being played on the PS5, but not PS5 games being played on the PS5. So again, that falls firmly in the kinda compatible category. And as far as accessories that are not compatible at all, platinum and gold wireless headsets, any headsets that connect via USB port or headset jack, because the headset companion app isn't available with the PS5, so I'm told. So womp womp and sad tuba on that front. But overall, I do think the backwards compatibility and a lot of the previous gen peripheral compatibility is a push in the right direction for those that have it. While we're talking about peripherals, I cannot have a whole video on the PS5 without mentioning the new controller. So I think moving into this generation of PlayStation, a lot of us thought, oh, it's going to be all about the speed. It's going to be all about the faster load times. And in my opinion, what makes this whole experience feel next gen is tech that is built into this controller. It is awesome. So let's talk about all the tech built into the DualSense controller. Now, I got my first taste of what this baby can do in Astro's Playroom, which is a tech demo essentially for the DualSense controller that comes pre-installed on every PS5, and it blew me away, not gonna lie. I streamed my reactions of it that I'll play on screen a little bit for you right now. This is what makes the PS5 stand out to me as next-gen gaming, and let me get into why. So first up, you'll see here on the controller that there is a new Create button just up here, and the Create button allows you to create shareable content like screen grabs and share them to social media or with friends. It has adaptive triggers just here, which I'm sure you've heard people talk about, but if you're saying, Trisha, what exactly are adaptive triggers? Adaptive triggers provide a different level of resistance dependent on the game. So for example, pulling a bowstring will feel different than slamming on car brakes. It has a built-in motion sensor, so built-in accelerometer and gyroscope to allow for motion control in video games. Again, something that Astro's Playroom kind of shows you how to use nicely, and we'll see how different developers incorporate this into their software, but the tech is in the controller and ready and waiting to be used. The haptic feedback in this controller is insane. So, you know, we're all used to rumble packs of yore, or even having like slight versus heavy rumble, and this takes that to a whole new dimension. So the haptic feedback in the DualSense controller replaces rumble features with dual actuators for a wider range of sensations, and then leaves it up to game developers to incorporate into their games. It is super cool. You can feel it especially in Astro's Playroom in the footsteps, whether you are walking on snow or sliding on ice or walking on sand or even splashing around in water. You experience a different sensation in the hand holding the controller with each of those, which takes it to an entirely new immersive level that's very hard to describe, so you'll kind of just have to take my word for it. Another fun fact is that if you are playing older PS4 games, even though this has the ability to do so much more, the DualSense controller will try to emulate the rumble that you would have felt before that PS4 game was designed for you to feel, which is neat. Now, just down on this side and towards the bottom, you will see an integrated speaker and microphone. Now, the speaker is super awesome paired with that new haptic feedback. Like I mentioned, you know, when I was walking in snow, it kind of felt like I was walking in snow, but also hearing the crunching of footsteps in snow coming out of my controller at the same time was just an incredible experience. Again, it's hard for me to explain in a video because you kind of have to experience it yourself, but if you trust my opinion at all, it was very, very cool. The built-in microphone that I mentioned here has a mute button, so if you're worried that the controller is always listening to you, don't worry, you can always turn that off and on. There is a USB-C port just up here to charge battery, and of course a headset jack on this as well. The only negative that I can really find about this controller, honestly, is that the light gray / white coloring of it, paired with the grips on the back, have already made mine kind of dirty. Yeah, that's my only negative so far with the controller, is that I have like hand gook and mess, and we'll need to probably clean it often because of the micro nodules that are back here to allow for grip on this side and on the triggers as well. If anyone knows how to best clean these controllers, feel free to throw that in the comments and I would appreciate the tip. Some other accessories that PlayStation was kind enough to send me along with my PS5 include the Pulse 3D wireless headset. Now, the Pulse 3D wireless headset is super comfy and has this headband strap here for smaller heads like mine, which I super appreciate. Almost no headphones have that, so thank you for thinking of those of us that are more hobbit-sized like me. And these are specifically tuned to work with PS5's 3D audio Tempest engine that we mentioned earlier in this video. They've got dual noise-canceling microphones, USB-C charging, and let me show you just up here, tons of easy on-ear controls. One of my favorite controls that's up here, so you've got volume, you can mute the mic, you'll see here is a in-game chat to game audio mix right here on the headset. Now, normally this is something that I know, at least for streamers, you have to purchase a separate mixer to do, and now you don't need to do that because it is all on the Pulse 3D wireless headset, so that makes me very happy. This will work with PS4 or PS5 using an included adapter and anything with a 3.5mm jack, and you are said to get up to 12 hours of play when using it wirelessly. I have not had to recharge it once yet, so I guess I haven't hit 12 hours yet, but it's been pretty good for me so far. And again, that's the Pulse 3D wireless headset. Another accessory the PlayStation was kind enough to send me is this beauty right here. This is the PlayStation HD camera. Now, this includes two wide-angle 1080p cameras to measure depth, meaning background removal, huzzah, without a green screen. This connects to your console via USB-A right here, and it has a built-in stand. You can see it kind of moves like this with a little hinge so that it can sit above or below a screen. And I have not had a chance to mess with this yet because I've been using my PlayStation with my streaming setup. But for people who are streaming directly from the PS5, this is a super, super cool addition to your setup. Okay, so let's see, what am I forgetting? Just some bonus information for you on the PlayStation 5 if it's something you're considering getting for yourself. PS5 will help you out in the entertainment as well, as far as it's able to pull search results from a variety of different media apps to find a TV show or movie easily so that you don't spend time searching through each media app individually, which is very cool. I have not seen the remote. There is a media remote that goes with the PS5. I haven't put hands on it personally, but again, if you're hoping to use this not only as your main gaming console, but as your living room entertainment console, it's nice to have those options and that capability as well. Also, PlayStation Plus now has the PlayStation Plus collection with access to a curated library of some of the best games from the PS4 console era, which a lot of people would argue is some of the best gaming we've experienced in our lifetime in that PS4 console generation. To have that included with PlayStation Plus is super cool. I will give the disclaimer that I am told this varies by location, and the PlayStation Plus collection is only available in certain countries. So keep that in mind and do your research before pulling the trigger. So that's that. I'm sure there will be a million more questions that I didn't think of that you can ask in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them. Did you get either of the new consoles? Do you plan to get either of the new consoles when they become available again? I know a lot of us are having a hard time finding them in stock. I'm looking for gifts for people, and yeah, I think we're all in the same boat as far as that goes. If you want to see more of the gameplay either on the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X, or on a brand new gaming PC with a 3090 in it, thank you, Alienware, make sure to check out my Twitch channel. I stream from the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and my PC all over on twitch.tv/Trisha Hershberger. And feel free to join my Discord if you haven't already. That's kind of where this community hangs out and talks more tech, so you can keep the conversation going right there if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Bye.